Okay, I've been wanting to do this video for quite a while because not many people know my cycling background. They sort of see a big walrus and they sort of think I never used to cycle very fast, but I can assure you I used to be reasonably good. I don't like to brag or anything, but I like to sort of think like Bruce Lee. When somebody asked if he was any good, he used to say, if I said I was good, you'd say I was boasting. But if you said I was no good, you'd know I was lying. So with that sort of background, that sort of perspective, we'll dig in and I'll show you. I've basically found some old training files and be able to see what I was like, 15 years ago, and also extrapolate to how good I was when I was a teenager. So let's have a look here. So here we go. We got some files. We got the file here in the background. I'm not too sure you can see my cursor, but what we'll do, we've got this app called Bike Calculator on the right hand side here, and that's going to do our calculations for us. So first of all, this was when I was using a polar power meter and everything. Polar wasn't that great on the high end, but in the mid sort of 100 to 500 watts range, it was pretty close to the SRM. So and I've also tested this out with my SRM as well, and it works out really well. This program is just brilliant. You get it on the iPhone. It's called Bicycle Bike Calculator. Right, so let's get stuck into this. So first I'll show you back in January 2004, I was 89.6 kilograms, and I'm a lot heavier than that now. Actually 130 kilos at the moment. Let's work out the pounds for the US viewers here. So 89.6 by 2.2, 197 pounds, and at the moment I'm 130. 286. So I can carry a lot of weight, and I can also lose a lot of weight. So anyway, let's not get sidetracked here. So basically I was 89.6 kilos, so I'll just get the exercise up here as well. Exercise 3 Northern Summit, and we'll do some calcs on this. But what we need to do first is I'll get the lap times up here. Power. So we're looking at this lap here, and I averaged 212 watts, which isn't very much, I must admit. But what we'll do here is we get into the settings, and you see here, bike 10 kilos. I sort of put the bike at 10 kilos because when I usually do my weight, it's usually just in just out of the shower. So when you take into account shoes and everything, the bike ends up around about 10 kilos. Rider weight 89.6, so I've put 90 because you can only increment. You can only go by, you can't go in between, so 90 kilos there. Just 23mm tyres, road, elevation 100 metres because that's where it started at Northern Summit there. So let's do the calculations. So you'll see here how accurate it is. So if you look here for the speed on that lap, you'll see there 13.3 kilometers an hour. So you put 13.3 here. So you've got your main control here. You can see here it's adjusting. So I'll set that up at 13.3 kilometers an hour. And it knows your weight and everything. You've got the gradient there as 4.7, which I'll show you here. If you look at the altitude here, I've worked out the gradient there. It works it out because the Polar used to have the altimeter on it. So this is more accurate than Strava because I'm using the accurate altimeter barometric pressure from the Polar. I used to have a 710. I've got it out the back there somewhere. Polar 710, and it was very accurate. Let's have a look here. So you plug in the numbers, and lo and behold, it is spot on. I'm getting average of lap 212 watts, and the bike calculator is showing 212. So moving backwards, we can extrapolate back to when I was a half decent cyclist, and I'll show you a photo of what I used to look like when I was 18. I was only like 70 kilos. Or 73 kilos when I'll show you a picture of what I looked like. So that's me there, and I look pretty lean. I'm leaning over the bike. I've got no stomach at all. Definitely not the case now. And Also, if you've been watching my channel, you got the famous me on the rock there, and compared to what I looked like a couple of years ago with the just riding with the Tinkoff team. So, and also I'll show you this as well. Where are we? Just get this photo up as well. This is my training. Well, I'll show you the letter first I got from the RAS, because they're actually going to train me up for the Barcelona Olympics. I actually got talent spotted at the state championships doing a pursuit, and Shane Bannon, who ended up being the coach for Orica Green Edge, or Green Edge at the time, he spotted me and sort of thought I was quite strong, because I actually did a negative split on the pursuit, which is not many people do. I was actually getting faster as the race was going on, so he obviously saw I had some endurance, and I heard that they were going to train me up for the 100-kilometre team time trial at the Barcelona Olympics. And unfortunately Shane went overseas. There was lack of coaching at that time and didn't make it to the Olympics, but I was a contender apparently. So I'll show you the letter there, and you can see the letter. It says, there we go, congratulations on your selection to the Junior Development Squad. I've enclosed a basic training program that leads up to the 4th of March. On this date there will be a meeting at Hanson Reserve, etc, etc. Signed, Shane Bannon. And you can see my training there. This is just like initial training that we did. So it was like 80 kilometers small gears, 100 kilometers small, and you got to remember I was only 18 years old here. This is in 1989. So we were doing like, you know, if you add up these numbers here, what's 80, 180, 260, 340, 440 for that one. We missed one day there. So 120, so it's 200. So the second week, 200, 280, 380, 480, 540, 640, 660 kilometers. That's a fair training volume for a 18-year-old. And I was going to uni at the time, or college as you say in America, and so I was doing training morning and after college as well. So there we go. And so what we'll do now is I'll go back to the bike calculator, because I basically knew. I used to use an Avila cycle computer. I was very accurate with the speed, and I used to know all my speeds up the climbs. So what we want to do is find out power though. So we'll plug in. I used to be about 76 kilos. So between 70s, we'll put 76. The old bike, that was 10 kilos. The Vitus, done on there. And I used to be able to go up 7% gradient up Green Hill Road there. 7 gradient, and I used to be able to do 18 kilometers an hour. So you can sort of work out here what sort of power I was putting out. So it's about 370 watts, which sounds about right. And that's very conservative, 18 k's an hour. It was between 18 and 21. So if we take the speed up to 21, you can work out. There we go. At 440. There you go. Just go up there. I can use the buttons. 443. So between 370 and 443 watts, and that works out roughly to. We'll do the calculations there. So the high end 443 divided by 76, it's around about 5.8 watts per kilo I was putting out. As I said, that's very conservative. That was just training. That wasn't me racing up. When we used to go up with the AIS squad, we used to get up to 25 k's an hour. So if I put 25 in, probably not even going to go there. It's just maxing out at 500 watts at 23 k's an hour. So you can sort of see there, I was could do over 500 watts up to 7% gradient when we were sort of racing each other up there, which makes sense because we were doing it for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes maximum. So over 500 watts for 5 minutes. So there we go. So as you can see, I wasn't too bad a rider back then, and if you look at my training diary, 73 kilos, and we can plug that in, and you can do the calcs there as well. 23.7 k's now, 500 watts, so it doesn't make too much difference. Sometimes I'd get down to 70 kilos as well, but between 70 kilos and 76, so 70 in pounds is 154 pounds at my lightest, and at my heaviest during winter I used to get up to 76, so it's 167 pounds. So to me that sounds fairly light, and I was 184 centimeters, which is divided by 2.54 in inches, 72.4, so what's that, 6 foot, just over 6 foot I was, and I'm a little bit taller now, I'm about 6'2", so I don't think I'd ever be able to get down to my racing weight. I'd probably be able to get down to maybe 80 kilos, maybe. I remember at one time I got down to about 87, so say 80 in pounds, 176, which sounds about right. I should be able to get down to about 80 kilos. Last time I raced it was about 94 kilograms, which is 94 times 2.2, 206 pounds. And you know, I'm not going to climb hills at that weight, so, but at my peak I used to go quite well. So I'll show you some of the trophies I won as well. Let's go full screen here. That's probably my best trophy, that one. See if we can just click on there and we can autofocus. So that was a juvenile handicap race. The silly handicap has put me on 5 minutes, and I thought, no, that's an insult. I should be on, like, you know, scratch or you know, 1 minute at the most on the chopping block, they used to call it. With the handicap race, you get, you know, as it says, handicapped. You know, you have the best riders at the back, and you have riders going ahead of them. And I used to usually be on either scratch, like the top riders, or just on the minute. Because they're mainly the scratch riders. They used to race every week. I never used to race every week. I used to just race occasionally, because it wasn't really a big sport back then. I didn't really think there was any future in it, but I did like racing sometimes, just to see how I was going against the great guys. And you'll see here in this program, I'll show you that when I won that big trophy, I actually raced against a guy called Brett Aitken, who ended up being an Olympic gold medalist in the year 2000 in the Madison. So the field was pretty decent field back then. So anyway, what else have we got here? So we got that one, this one here. If you see my training diary, looks like I won the club championship in 1987. I don't think I got a trophy for that. I think Naomi won, but this one here is 1988 junior second place. So I'll show you that one. Let's see if we can autofocus on that. It says, oh, there, better read there, junior second place 1988. So it's got second. I got first in 1987, second place in 88. What's this one? Southern Combine. Oh, okay, so must have the club champ. Some of these races I can't even remember. Sorry about the autofocus here. Yeah, some of these races I can't even remember. This says Juvenile Division 1, second place in 87. So, well, maybe I got second both years. No, usually, but the thing is, I'll show you this thing here. Clipping from the paper there, you can see there, Junior J Panoff. So it looks like I won it that year. So who knows? It was either first or second. But as I said, I never used to really take it that seriously to racing, because cycling was such a very minor sport. You know, it was no big dollars as it is now. It used to be, you know, if I got a trophy like this, that was just like superb. You know, most of the times I'd be racing for like a coffee mug, which I still have somewhere as well. I won a coffee mug. You're racing for like toe clips and straps and that sort of thing, which you know, I appreciated, because a lot of these trophies and that were coming out of like the officials' personal money. They were buying these things for us, because we financially the clubs weren't getting much money. So totally different scene than it is now. You know, if I raced now, I'd probably be, a pro or whatever. So any guys out there, just appreciate what you've got now, because back in my day, it was very, very hard to get into Europe. Used to idolise people like Phil Anderson, who actually made it. A couple of guys that did make it, like Brett Aitken and Stuart O'Grady, they sort of went through the track program with Charlie Walsh, and on the road it was a very difficult path to get through. It got better over the years, but I just seemed to be in that unlucky year that my coach went overseas with the women's team and didn't really make it past the initial training program. Now, this is the last time we sort of saw him after that meeting. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but it happens quite a bit in cycling as well. Training programs with limited resources, just don't take off. So I think a lot of the road guys were being fed through from the track program as well. And yeah, I'm not too sure of the politics. I saw an article one time, I'll see if I can dig it up. They talk about Shane Bannon, how he just had too much on his plate, basically. So no dissing Shane. He did his best, and I did like tests with the. This is my training area. And we did. I think I did a maximal heart rate test. Did a maximal heart rate test. It was 198. That's using a ramp test. They were going to do my VO2 max at one point. It was like, well, let's see if I can focus on that. Never actually got my VO2 max done. I would have loved to have known my VO2 max. Guy that used to do these tests was a guy called what's his name? Neil Craig. He was like one of the best sports physiologists in the world. That's the actual page there, and he used to regularly get courted by the East Germans and that sort of thing. They wanted him over there because he was just so knowledgeable. But there we go, guys. I'll do a proper video on all the sort of things that I did back in the day. Look at my race results and everything. That's just an overview of where I sort of stood in the ranks. So I'm trying to get back into cycling a bit more. I've got a little bit on my plate with parents being quite elderly, so I sort of look after them and cook for them, that sort of thing. So it doesn't, I'm quite busy. I'm don't really have much time to cycle. It's a bit of a luxury, but I do want to try and get some fitness going next year or so, and just try and get a few Strava segments, because it's a bit embarrassing where I'm ranking on the Strava at the moment. Pretty much right down the bottom with climbs, because just because of my weight and training. My anaerobic fitness is quite good. I'll show you a photo here of I did 1746 watts on the SRM, and here I've got another example where let's have a look. Averaged something like 683 watts for 30 seconds, and so my anaerobic's quite good, but aerobically I'm pretty awful. So lastly, I'll show another photo of this is Stuart O'Grady's book, and he was very kind. When he signed it, he said to Jonathan, "Mate, you were fast." So got a bit of an endorsement from Stu, which is quite nice. But yeah, so that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that video, and it gives you a bit of an idea of the sort of talent or lack of talent I had back then. Somebody saw some potential in me and put me in a Olympics training squad, but just didn't eventuate. So there's probably a lot of stories like that. You probably hear like people who used to race against Greg LeMond and that sort of thing that didn't really make it to the Olympics because of various reasons. And I know I was talking to the pros as well, and told my story, and I was sort of saying, that's very common. There's a lot of riders just for various reasons don't get a pro contract. Lack of resources and so forth. But yeah, very, very interesting subject. And so basically I wanted to do this video for a while because I want to try and teach a little bit of training at some point as well, because I'm reasonably knowledgeable with the training, like FTP and the intensity and training load and that sort of thing. So I want to do some sort of online online sort of training tips at some point, so I thought I'd do a bit of background on my cycling, so you don't sort of think I'm some overweight recreational cyclist trying to give advice. I do have a bit of a background in cycling and have the results to prove it as well. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.